Man is a social being. His existence is shaped by the expectations and norms of the society around him. At every moment, he finds himself in a different role. Sometimes a parent, sometimes a worker, sometimes a lover. Yet the truth behind these roles often remains hidden. The self behind our mask is often more complex than the actor on stage. The more we come to know ourselves, the freer we become. When does a person begin to live their true identity? Or worse, do we ever truly live as ourselves? From the clothes we put on in the morning, the tone of voice we use while talking to someone, do all our actions conform to the roles we are expected to perform? Serious at work, gentle at home, humorous with friends. But which of these is truly us? Or we are none of them? Living in society can often feel like acting a traitor, but once we begin playing a role, at some points we forget who were we to begin with. In this video, we will examine the concept of role from both philosophical and psychological perspectives. Why do we wear roles in social life? Do these roles protect us, or do they turn us into someone else entirely? Drawing from everyday life, scientific experiments, and philosophical thoughts, we will seek an answer to this question. Behind a mask, how much of ourselves can remain? And maybe by the end of this video, you will be left with this thought. Is playing a role a form of the self, or is it the elegant art of adaptation? Defining the concept and its philosophical roots. A role refers to the set of behaviors expected of an individual occupying in a specific social positions. Behind this definition lies a series of complex questions about social structures and personal identity. Do we choose our roles, or do the roles shape us? Philosophically, concept of role intersect with ethics, identity, and existence. Ontologically, does a person have a true self, or do we only exist through the eyes of others? Epistemologically, once we realize we are playing a role, do we perform it consciously, or do we internalize it as a part of our identity? This concept forces us to reconsider the individual-society relationship. On one hand, society pushes us into certain molds. On the other hand, we define our identities through these very molds. So, could it be that a role is both a limitation and a form of self-expression? Historical background. The history of roles is as old as the history of theater. In ancient Greece, the word persona referred to the mask actors wore on stage, but the mask was more than a face. It was the character itself. While Plato and Aristotle didn't use the term directly, their discussions on a person's place in society emphasized that ethical responsibility was tied to one's social position. In the Middle Ages, societal roles were seen as a part of divine order. Nobles, clergy, peasants, everyone had a place assigned by God. These fixed roles made professional transformation almost impossible. With the Enlightenment came the rise of individualism. Thinkers like Rousseau and Kant argued that a person could shape their identity through reason and free will. This gave strength to the idea that roles could be changed. By the 20th century, sociology and psychology began to systematically analyze the roles individuals play within society. The concept of role was no longer just a metaphor. It became a scientific tool of analysis. Erving Goffman, Life as a Theater. In the presentation of self in everyday life, Erving Goffman likens social interaction to a stage. According to him, individuals perform different roles on different stages of life. At the work, we might be serious and responsible. Among friends, relaxed and witty. At home, protective and nurturing. For Goffman, these roles aren't fake, they are part of the natural order of society. But when a person gains control over the role, they not only conform to society, but also learn to manage their own presentation. This creates a dynamic balance between authentic identities and social role. Even a waiter's smile when approaching a table is a gesture on stage. The real question is whether the waiter is conscious of the smile. Carl Jung's persona and the shadow. Carl Jung referred to the social mask one wears in public as the persona. It represents the behaviors that society expects from us. According to Jung, the persona is necessary. It allows for the formation of social relationships. But the problem arises when the mask becomes permanent. He who plays a role for too long eventually becomes the role. Jung argued that such over-identification suppressed the individual's shadow, the represent parts of oneself such as feelings, desires, or fears. These buried elements can erupt from unconscious and cause uncontrolled behavior. Compared to Goffman, who approached roles surface-level social lens, Jung treated them as a part of deep physics structures. If we want to truly know ourselves, we must question not only the mask we wear, but also the parts of ourselves we hide. Modern scientific perspectives. The invisible network of roles. Modern psychology and social sciences have not only conceptualized the influence of social roles, but also supported it with experimental data. One of the most striking examples is the Stanford Prison Experiment, conducted with Philip Zimbardo in 1971. Ordinary college students were randomly assigned the roles of guard and prisoners, and the experiment quickly escalated into disturbing realisms. Within days, the guards become cruel and authoritarian, while the prisoners become passive and emotionally broken. The experiment was terminated early due to ethical concerns. This event demonstrated that roles are not merely superficial masks. They have the power to transform identity itself. Today, roles are not limited to physical world. They are increasingly shaped in digital space. Social media has become a stage where individuals protect their digital identities. Aesthetic lifestyles, professional ambitions, carefree humor, each represents a different expectation. The roles are no longer only shaped by social environments, but are reinforced by algorithms. The like and follow systems indicate which persona is rewarded, conditioning the individuals to maintain that role. Thus, the digital persona may overshadow the real self. Psychologically, this can have serious consequences. Research shows that managing multiple roles simultaneously can lead to role conflict and identity fragmentation. A person who is authoritative at work, nurturing at home, and confident on online may start to feel internal disharmony. Over time, it becomes difficult to tell which parts are authentic. This leads to a sense of restlessness or even alienation. Ethical, cultural, and political dimensions. Sometimes social roles become imposed expectations. A woman is expected to be gentle, a man to be strong. Such rigid roles can represent individuals from realizing their full potential. Cultural differences also shape role expectations. In society, leadership may be associated with boldness, in others, with humility. This implies that there is no universal right role. Context matters. But can the individual resist these pressures, or are we always condemned to play a role designed through the eyes of others? Conclusion. As we've seen, the concept of role is much more than a social performance or an outward display. It is also a deep process by which the individual shapes and constructs identity. Erving Goffman demonstrated how social roles are building blocks of daily life, while Carl Jung revealed the spiritual cost of wearing those roles and hiding part of the self. Modern psychology and social sciences, through empirical data, have shown just how influential formative roles can be. Together, these perspectives reveal how powerful our roles are, how the shape of identities, often without us even realizing it. Yet the most fundamental and perhaps most difficult question remains unanswered. If we strip away the masks, the roles, the expectations, who is left? How visible, how reachable is our true selves? Perhaps first step toward freedom and authenticity lies in asking why we wear certain masks and which roles truly reflects us. The journey to the true self begins with the moment we remove the mask. For freedom lies not in hiding, but in being seen.